Point 1. The Tri-State Tornado of 1925. The deadliest tornado in U.S. history struck on March 18, 1925, across Missouri, Illinois, and Indiana. Known as the Tri-State Tornado, it carved a path of destruction nearly 219 miles long, the longest tornado track ever recorded. With winds estimated at over 300 miles per hour, entire towns were obliterated, leaving more than 695 people dead and over 2,000 injured. At the time, weather warnings were minimal, and tornado forecasting was practically non-existent. People had no time to react as the massive funnel swept through farmland and communities. The Tri-State Tornado remains infamous, not only for its death toll, but also for its sheer scale. Its legacy pushed meteorologists to study tornado behavior more closely and eventually led to the development of modern forecasting systems. Nearly a century later, it still stands as a grim benchmark for just how deadly a single tornado outbreak can be. Point 2. The 1936 Tupelo-Gainesville outbreak. In April 1936, one of the most destructive tornado outbreaks struck the American South, hitting Tupelo, Mississippi, and Gainesville, Georgia. The Tupelo tornado killed at least 216 people, making it the fourth deadliest single tornado in U.S. history. Just a day later, Gainesville faced its own catastrophe, with another tornado killing 203 people. Together, the outbreak claimed over 450 lives. In both towns, entire neighborhoods were flattened, and rescue efforts were hindered by destroyed infrastructure. Notably, in Tupelo, a young Elvis Presley, just a baby at the time, survived the storm, which later became a piece of cultural trivia. This outbreak highlighted how vulnerable southern communities were to tornadoes, especially in areas with wooden homes and poor communication systems. The Tupelo-Gainesville disaster remains a haunting reminder of how multiple deadly tornadoes can strike within hours of each other. Point 3. The 1974 super outbreak. April 3rd to 4th, 1974, saw one of the largest and most intense tornado outbreaks in U.S. history. Now known as the 1974 super outbreak, over the span of just 18 hours, 148 tornadoes touched down across 13 states, from Alabama to Michigan and even parts of Canada. 30 of these tornadoes were rated F4 or F5 on the Fujita scale, making them among the most violent storms ever documented. The death toll reached 315, with more than 5,000 injured. Entire towns like Xenia, Ohio were shredded, leaving survivors comparing the destruction to a bomb blast. The outbreak was so vast that some tornadoes were occurring simultaneously, overwhelming communication systems. This outbreak became a case study for meteorologists, showing how outbreaks could span massive regions and last for hours. It also pushed the U.S. government to invest heavily in Doppler radar technology, which would later revolutionize severe weather forecasting and improve survival rates in future storms. Point 4. The 1989 Bangladesh tornadoes aren't just an American phenomenon. On April 26, 1989, the deadliest tornado in world history struck the Manatganj district of Bangladesh. This single tornado killed approximately 1,300 people and left over 80,000 homeless. Winds were estimated at well over 200 miles per hour, and the tornado carved a path nearly 10 miles long and a mile wide. The sheer scale of the disaster was amplified by the region's high population density and poor housing construction, with entire villages wiped from the map. Survivors described the storm as a black wall swallowing everything in its path. In a country already vulnerable to natural disasters like floods and cyclones, this tornado became one of the darkest moments in Bangladesh's history. It showed how socioeconomic conditions, fragile homes, limited warning systems, and lack of emergency infrastructure can turn natural disasters into humanitarian catastrophes. The 1989 Bangladesh tornado remains a chilling reminder that tornadoes are a global threat, not just an American one. Point 5. The 2011 super outbreak. From April 25th to 28th, 2011, the U.S. experienced the most prolific tornado outbreak ever recorded, the 2011 super outbreak. Over the course of 4 days, 362 tornadoes touched down across 21 states, stretching from Texas to New York. On April 27th alone, 211 tornadoes tore across the southeast, including multiple EF4 and EF5 monsters. The outbreak killed 324 people, with Alabama and Mississippi hit hardest. Entire towns like Hackleburg and Tuscaloosa were devastated. Modern forecasting gave warnings, but the sheer number of tornadoes overwhelmed emergency systems. The outbreak caused billions of dollars in damage and left scars still visible today. Unlike earlier outbreaks, this disaster unfolded in an era of smartphones and social media, meaning real-time images and videos of massive EF5 tornadoes shocked the entire world. The 2011 super outbreak was a tragic reminder that even with advanced technology, nature can still outpace human preparation. Point 6. The Joplin Tornado of 2011. Just weeks after the 2011 super outbreak, another catastrophic event occurred: the Joplin, Missouri tornado. On May 22, 2011, a massive EF5 tornado ripped through the city, killing 158 people and injuring over 1,000. Unlike most outbreaks, this was a single, slow-moving tornado that directly hit a densely populated urban area. Entire sections of Joplin were flattened, including schools, hospitals, and shopping centers. The destruction was so intense that rescue crews struggled to navigate the debris. What made the Joplin tornado particularly devastating was the issue of warning fatigue. Residents had received tornado warnings so frequently that many didn't take this one seriously until it was too late. The disaster forced meteorologists to rethink how warnings are issued and how to ensure communities respond quickly. Joplin remains one of the most expensive tornado disasters in U.S. history, costing nearly $3 billion in damages. Point 7. The 1999 Oklahoma tornado outbreak. On May 3, 1999, Oklahoma was ground zero for one of the most violent tornado outbreaks in modern history. Over 21 hours, 74 tornadoes ripped through the plains, killing 46 people and injuring hundreds more. The most infamous of these was the Bridge Creek Moore tornado, rated EF5 with wind speeds measured at 318 miles per hour, the strongest winds ever recorded on Earth at the time. Entire neighborhoods in the Oklahoma City suburbs were obliterated and vehicles were tossed like toys. This outbreak highlighted the vulnerability of Tornado Alley, where warm, moist Gulf air collides with cold, dry air from the Rockies, creating perfect storm conditions. The 1999 outbreak was also one of the first heavily documented on live television, with footage of the massive wedge tornado shocking viewers nationwide. It underscored both the danger and fascination tornadoes hold in American culture. Point 8. The legacy of deadly outbreaks. Each of these tornado outbreaks left behind not just destruction, but also lessons that reshaped how we forecast, prepare, and respond. The tri-state tornado showed the need for basic warnings. The 1974 super outbreak proved that outbreaks could overwhelm entire regions. The Bangladesh tornado revealed how poverty and infrastructure shape survival rates. The Joplin disaster forced meteorologists to rethink communication strategies. And the 2011 super outbreak demonstrated that even modern technology can't always prevent tragedy. Today, Doppler radar, advanced modeling, and warning sirens save thousands of lives each year, but outbreaks still pose incredible danger. The legacy of these events is twofold. They remind us of nature's fury, but also of humanity's resilience. Survivors rebuild, communities adapt, and science improves. But the respect for tornado outbreaks will never fade.